On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a big win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Kristaps Porzingis puts together a complete game, and Josh Green going off 10 assists.
In the words of Jalen Brunson, tweet post-game, all it said was, Josh Green.
We'll talk about that and how the Mavericks have looked different with Luka Doncic and with basically everybody out, how the Mavericks look different and found some success in this stretch. We'll talk about that coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Truebill. Truebill is the new app that helps you save money by helping you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions you don't want or need. Subscriptions. You can either negotiate better deals that for the ones that you want to keep as well. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. And remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can watch us right now. Subscribe to the channel. We're making our way. Climbing the ladder to 9,000 subscribers. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the blowout blunder boy, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Say, watch that phrasing. Watch the phrasing. 132 points for a non-Luka Mavericks team. I'm hyped. I was generally hyped up through a good portion of this game. I mean, obviously, the second half it just turned into a blowout. But when they first started getting that lead, it was a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed this.
Do you feel like the talent was equal on both sides? Because I went back and forth during the game. The Blazers had Damian Lillard, but they were missing essentially everyone else except for like Larry Nance. Anthony Simons was playing.
Don't you slander Nas Little.
Nas Little was playing.
I love that guy.
Norman Powell was playing for them. And so you're going back and forth saying, okay, I think the Mavericks may have more overall talent in this game. And then the Blazers obviously have the best player in the game in Damian Lillard. But I kind of felt like the Mavs at a certain point had more talent. But still, the thing that stood out in this game was the defense for the Blazers. Man, Scott Brooks was the interim coach for this because Chauncey Billups is out with health and safety protocols. And they played some Wizards level defense.
Yeah, I mean, well, they got hit
Scott
with everything.
Brooks, former coach of the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, like at the last moment this afternoon, they lost Nurkic. I think somebody else that got added to it, late. Then Dame was questionable going into the game, so I wonder how they were prepping if he was going to play or not. Obviously, they lost Chauncey too, like you said. So really, really weird, timing for them. Fortunate timing for the Mavs on that to catch them like that at home. But man, I mean, just from the start, this Mavs team, they were ready to go. And I mean, you talk about players they added. They pretty much didn't add anybody else. I mean, Dorian came back. He missed last game, so Dorian was back. Josh Green was back, but everyone else for the Mavs is still out. And Luka being still out, it looks like Reggie will be set to join them in Sacramento, as he was the first one out of this whole group to enter protocols. But Maxi's still out, Tim's still out, Burke's still out. Like, I mean, the list goes on.
And the NBA is looking at limiting the amount of time that players have to be out when they go in health and safety protocols to 6 days. And so some of these guys could come back a little bit quicker than we expect as well. But it's hard to know which ones are on which timeline and all that. But Kristaps Porzingis, I thought stood out a lot in this game. 34 points for him, 9 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. His passing at the beginning, he scored or assisted on the Mavs' first 12 of their 13 points. And the 1 point came off of a Dwight free throw. But basically the Mavs' first 12 points, KP either scored or assisted on. He really came out early and had a big impact on the Mavs.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just scoring. I tweeted out after the first quarter, kind of like his overall stat line. He played 8 minutes in that first quarter. He had 7 points, a couple blocks, a steal, I think 3 assists, a couple rebounds. Like, he was doing everything in those 8 minutes. And exactly, I mean, this is exactly the type of stuff you want to see when Luka's not playing. And he stepped up to that. And, the whole stat was going around at the beginning of the game of like, Porzingis has missed the last 15,
17 threes.
17 threes, and and then he hits 3 in a row after that. And I was like super hyped in that moment. I'm like, knock him down, boy. Let's go.
He hit 3 of his 3 threes in the second quarter. Didn't hit a 3 the rest of the game. I think he finished 3 of 7 in this game, but finally had a quarter where you're just like, okay, KP is finally hot, like finally hitting his threes. He mentioned in the, after the last game on Christmas Day that, yeah, his free throws have felt good. His mid-range felt good, but he personally has not felt good from 3. And so hopefully maybe that gets him in a little bit of a rhythm, hitting those 3 threes in that second quarter. He's still hitting his free throws well, 7 of 9 in this game. And yeah, he had a big impact. Also defensively, 2 steals, 2 blocks for him. He was a big force for them in the paint. I thought he had some good boards. But yeah, him and Dwight Powell, they ate it up in the paint for the Mavericks. They were just getting behind the defense, pick and rolls, just releasing in on those dives to the rim. And they scored, what did they score? 56 points from KP and Porzingis, and a lot of those in the paint. I mean, the Mavericks destroyed them in the paint. What did they finish with? 68 points in the paint for the Mavs. The Blazers only had 30. Like, I think if a team gives up 68 points in the paint, you can't win, right? There can't be a team that has won when they allow 68 points in the paint.
Yeah, 68 is like, okay, if it was 69, it'd been nice. For KP, guess how many games this season he scored at least 25 points?
This year?
6. You cheater.
I'm just really good at this game.
You cheated.
I really haven't looked these up, but I'm usually pretty good at those games.
6 times a season he scored over 25 points. And as far as 30-point games, this is his 3rd time this season he scored over 30 points. It has felt like at times, and I could be wrong in this, or it's just a weird feeling. It feels like he caps out, like he can't get over 25. And it feels like he always hovers around that 22 to 25 range. He's had these games where he has a really good first, half in the third quarter, and then he just doesn't hit anything for the last quarter and a half of a game. And this game, when he went over the 30 mark, I'm like, let's go. We haven't seen that a lot this year. And that's what they need of him. They need KP to score 25 to 35 points especially in these non-Luka games. And that we got if you want to say a vintage, like KP performance, we got that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was doing it in a couple different ways. Now, the reason why it feels like he can't get over 25 points is it seems like he hits a wall in every single game, right? Where he's making some easy baskets. His mid-range shot is going. Maybe he hits a 3. He always hits his free throws, gets to the line. And then in the second half or the fourth quarter, he just doesn't show up, right? That's sort of what it's felt like this season, or the defense kind of locks in, and then all of a sudden he's taken out of the game. And in this game, he had 6 points in the fourth quarter. He played just 6 minutes because there's a lot of garbage time in this one. But we saw him put together a little bit more of a complete game for him. Coming up, let's get into. I want to talk about how this team looks without Luka, because we saw 38 assists in this game for the Mavericks. Isaac, when was the last time the Mavericks had 38 assists in a game?
I'm gonna say 1998.
That is much more recently than that. It was 2015 was the last time they had 38 assists in the game. The Mavericks as a franchise have only done it 20 times total as a franchise, and they've only done it twice in the 2000s.
Wow.
This is the 3rd time. So we got to talk about the ball movement, how it's been different, how the Mavs have played without Luka. Jason Kidd mentioned it after the game, so we'll talk about that and explain why it's different coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Truebill. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't want or need, or that you simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, but Truebill makes it incredibly simple. They have Truebill concierges that help you to cancel these subscriptions. You'll never guess how much subscription companies charge you every month. On average, nearly $200 a month are subscriptions companies are charging people. I don't know what kind of subscriptions people are out there getting, but if you're getting charged those, make your subscriptions, submit with Truebill, and they will be able to help you with those, even negotiate some of the ones you want to keep. So go check out Truebill. Use the Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA URL. Go right now. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into this game. We talked about it a little bit. The Dallas Mavericks win 132-117 against the Portland Trailblazers. Also, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. You get nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts, including us at times. So listen to the Locked On Now podcast on Apple, Spotify, or watch it on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. The Dallas Mavericks have looked different, right? 38 assists in this game. Haven't seen that since 2015, back when it was Monte Ellis, Tyson Chandler, Dirk, Devin Harris, and JJ Barea both had 9 assists each coming off the bench in that game.
Ray Felton started.
Ray Felton did start in that game. We haven't seen that a lot from the Mavericks. And Matt Moore, HP Basketball on Twitter, our friend that hosts the Locked On Nuggets from the Action Network, big time NBA like personality. He tweeted this during the game. I'm trying to make sense of how the Mavericks have played this well without Luka, and all the others is a dangerous thought exercise, it feels like. The NBA is just weird this season. And so let's you and I on Locked On Mavericks go down this thought exercise. How have the Mavericks played this well? Now, I think a lot of Mavs fans would disagree that the Mavericks have played, quote, this well during this stretch without Luka, but I think you and I agree, because I think we're allowing ourselves to look at some moral and take some moral victories in some of these games. The Mavericks have looked pretty good without Luka, especially considering the amount of talent on this Mavericks roster, how we've bemoaned the amount of talent that the Mavericks have around Luka. But I think that they've looked pretty good in a lot of these games, and they have not been blown out at all without Luka.
Yeah, I don't know if I would use pretty good. I think I would just say better than I thought.
Yeah,
like,
expectations
I don't think,
matter in this.
Yeah. I don't think that, I don't think this team is winning 2 games in a playoff series right now. So,
or getting to a playoff series.
Yeah, but they're playing
without Luka. Let's put it the way that this team
yes.
has been playing the last couple of weeks without Luka and everybody.
Without Luka and half the roster basically. So that I just think they're playing so much better. I mean, this is what we were talking about the other day. Of like, they're playing so much better than what we imagined. Like, if you would have told me that they would lose an average of 14 points in these games that Luka isn't playing, and I'd be like, all right, I kind of expect that. I kind of understand that, but they're not. And the other night at the very end of the pod, we were talking about, I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for this, especially considering that they've lost 3 assistant coaches themselves to the protocols. So I think what Kidd and them are doing with this team and bringing in guys like Brandon Knight and Marquise Chris and these hardship guys, and just talking about it and telling me it's like, dude, we haven't had a practice. Like, they're trying not to. When I was at practice, what was it, last week, and I was sitting there right in front of Kidd, hearing Kidd say, hey, we're just trying not to be together after, anytime we're not together, we're just trying not to where hopefully we're not spreading. So it's like they're trying to stay apart.
Jason Kidd promotes disunity within the Mavericks.
But like, they're trying to stay apart whenever they're not playing an actual game, but yet they're still like making it cohesive in a way with these new guys that I just didn't expect. And I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit, but I think how the style of play, I think some of it is like, take Luka's name out of it. You take a primary ball handler, the best player on the team, clearly the best player on the team, you take him off of the team, then it's going to change the style of play. And it's going to be a motivating factor to the rest of the team of, all right, now we got to step up as a team collectively, each player different roles. Let's see who has the hot hand tonight. We'll ride the hot hand and go from there. And it can be a little like, I don't even know what to say, like energizing in the sense of like, hey, our guy's down. You almost tell yourself you're the underdog. We're our best players out. Now we got to step up and come together as a team to do this. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. So I don't even think it's a knock towards Luka at all right now.
No, and I don't think it is either. It's what we've talked about before with going small, right? Remember, Jason Kidd a little while ago went small, and the Mavericks picked up their defense, and all of a sudden we started saying, man, that Mavericks defense looked really good during that stretch when they went small and they did small ball. They didn't play any centers at all, didn't play KP. They just went small with all wings and a couple guards. And what it does is it picks up everybody because, oh, this is different. I have more responsibilities. My responsibilities are a little different. I have to actually think about it. And so you're engaged as a player. And I think that's what we're seeing is, okay, Luka's out. Everybody has to step up. Next man up mentality is next man up to get their 5 shots, right? Everybody gets 5 more shots basically because the vacuum of Luka is gone. And so I think everybody gets a little bit more engaged. And you got these new guys. These new guys have to be brought in. They're not getting a lot of practice time. And so you have to talk. You have to communicate. You have to speak to these, like you have to talk to these guys, tell them where to be on defense, tell them where to go on offense. And Brandon Knight after the game, Brandon Knight had a great game in this one. We'll talk about him for sure. But Brandon Knight after the game said, this team communicates really well. This team talks on the floor all the time. You can hear us that we're talking and they communicate. It's made it really easy for us to integrate into this team and just being brought in out of the blue on these hardship deals. And Jason Kidd also mentioned this after the game. You heard this team talking a lot. That's what he said. And then he's also said at the beginning of the season, if you go into the locker room, this team wasn't talking a lot. This team was quiet. This was a quiet team. And now we're starting to see this come out. And so I think it's because of all these different things that are just having guys, you have to engage a little bit more because how difficult it is, right? You're like the level of difficulty without Luka and then adding all these new guys is upping that level. And so it's making everybody communicate a lot more. To answer Matt Moore's question of how the Mavs played, this well, quote unquote, this well, they're 4-4 in their last eight games without Luka. That's well to me, right? I would expect the Mavericks to lose every game without Luka, no matter who the opponent is, right? Or who's out there, especially considering Tim's out, Reggie Bullock's out. So many guys have been out. The Mavericks have played this well because of the ball movement on offense. They have to have it. They don't have a guy that can just take over. Brunson has done it a little bit where he can isolate and take over. And then their defensive versatility. They can switch around a lot on defense. And then I think it's also some of its strength of opponent too. This Blazers team was not like at their peak, obviously. They're missing a bunch of guys. EJ McCollum, Robert Covington, Nurkic, all those guys. But
I was more impressed.
I think it's those first two things that I mentioned.
I was more impressed with the close loss to Utah than I think I was winning this game.
Yeah.
That's probably
I'm with
a
you
hottest
too.
take, but I think I was. I just walked out of that game. I mean, you're talking about a fully healthy Utah team that I think a lot of people in the league right now say it's a clear top 3 in the West, and you took one of those teams without Luka, without half your roster down to the wire some. So I was impressed coming out, and you've seen that team go into this Portland game and say, hey, we're going to continue this play, this energizing play, and I mean they routed them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why it's been different. What can they take in this stretch? So when Luka and Tim and Reggie Bullock and and Maxey and all those guys come back, what do they take from this stretch? Is it just we got to communicate more on defense, and then on offense when Luka's not in, or even when Luka's in, we got to move the ball a little bit more. We've heard in the past Kristaps Porzingis talk about the ball movement, and we've almost laughed at it because it seems like, hey, give me the ball more. Like, let's move the ball a little bit more. He seems like he talks about that all the time. We heard Donnie Nelson talk about it with Luka Doncic. Got to get teammates involved more. Got to know and have that internal clock in your head and all that. Is there something to be said about what the Mavericks are doing right now when Luka comes back and all of them?
I think one of the things that I would tell Luka is obviously Luka is going to get his shots back. He's going to do all of his thing. He's best player in the team. I think one of the things I would look at Luka or sit down with him and say, I think something we could adopt and move forward. It's not as much. I really do get tired about the like passing the ball more for Luka that started last offseason, all this stuff. Yeah. Like he's like this huge ball hog or something. I do think Luka can look at it and say, hey, can you move more? Like we're all moving. Like I think you look at this team, there's a pass and they're moving. Brandon Knight's passing, he's moving. Jaylen Brown's passing and moving. Luka sometimes has this tendency to where if he's not really in the play, he's going to be in the corner. He's going to pass it off. He's going to chill on the wing. All right, you guys do your thing on that side of the court. Do your little pick and roll. People are always cutting and moving right now, and it feels very, very obvious to see that. So I think the whole thing, and this goes into the whole getting in shape and all that stuff. If he's in better shape, if he's healthy and stuff, move, pass, move. If it's not just ball movement, it's also your body movement too. Let's see Luka cutting. Let's see Luka running to this side or going off screens. I mean, he's never going to be Steph Curry of off-ball movement or Ray Allen or something like that.
Yeah,
but we can at least get him like maybe halfway there.
Let's get him between Rockets James Harden and Steph Curry, right? Like let's get him somewhere in between there, right? He's trending more towards Rockets James Harden at this point, but yeah, I completely agree. That's one thing is moving without the ball, and then getting other people involved, making a pass early in the offense, not just walking up the floor. This Mavericks team has played faster right?
Yeah.
They've played a faster pace. At least it's felt that way because of the ball movement, but they've played a faster pace than what they normally do with Luka. Just a little bit, not a lot. But that stands out. And it stands out that they move the ball around a little bit, that they share the ball, that it's not just one guy sticking with the ball. And Porzingis is been a catalyst for this, right? He's a guy that, he does take some of his isolation post-ups, and every once in a while he'll take one of those, but when he has a better pass, like when he has a better opportunity to hit a guy that's in a better position to make a play, he does that. And he moves the ball a lot. He had 5 assists in this game. We've seen his passing improve over this stretch. And he's been a good catalyst for this ball movement and all that.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think, we want to talk about Luka, want to talk about Porzingis, and like when these guys come back, I think one of my bigger questions is the other guys, is the Reggie, Tim
Hardaway.
Maxey, how, and even the guys after them, it's the Franks, Moses, Sterling Brown. How are some of these guys' minutes like impacted if they just got some decisions to make moving forward? Like if these guys keep on playing like they are, I mean, you have 3 guys in Theo Pinson, Brandon Knight, Marquise Chris, that if they, I know Marquise Chris didn't play. How much did he play tonight? He didn't play a ton.
Not a lot.
He played 9 minutes in this, but it's like, if there's a spot there and you're like, all right, dang, well, are they really just gonna open the door and say see ya to all 3 of these guys, even though they're playing really well? Trey Burke, Willie Cauley-Stein, like these are guys that I'm really curious on over these next few weeks.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
We're going to be saying that about a lot of guys coming up in this stretch. Coming up, let's get into the rest of this game. There's some good things that happened in this game, and we got to talk about this new segment I'm excited for. It's
Hot man, the hot player.
the hot player of the game via Dirk Nowitzki. We got to talk about who that is coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about betonline.ag. It's the fastest and easiest way to put down some money, to put down some dough on sports, any kind of sport. They have basketball, they have boxing, they have football. College football playoffs are coming up this weekend. They are coming up real quick, real soon. Alabama, Georgia. No, hold on. What am I looking at?
What are you
Coming. The college football playoffs. You can go bet on these games right now. I think what I was looking at is the odds on what the national championship would be. So if it's Alabama, Georgia in the national championship, Alabama would be a 1.5 point favorite. If it's Alabama, Michigan in the national championship, Alabama would be a 6 point favorite. They have all kinds of stuff like that on BetOnline. All kinds of different odds, props, live game stuff. Go bet on it. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You can get a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. So you deposit $50. They'll give you 25 extra bucks just to use on whatever you want. So go check it out. NFL is coming down to the wire. The Bengals destroyed Isaac's Ravens. Great win.
Okay, Donovan Mitchell. A
great win for a great team this year. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. Let's get back into this game. We have time to talk about what the offense will look like without Luka. When Luka comes back and all that kind of stuff. But I want to focus on this game because the Mavericks did pull off a really good one in this one. Let's just get right to it. The
Hot man, the hot player.
Dirk giving us that drop, the hot man, the hot player. Josh Green is my hot player of the game. Josh Green comes in, first game back from being out with health and safety protocols. He plays 26 minutes, 9 points, 10 assists for Josh Green. Definitely his career high. 4 rebounds for him, a couple of steals as well. Only 1 turnover with those 10 assists. And then and he had a couple of fouls, but he was guarding Damian Lillard at times in this game. He, to me, was the hot player just because of his passing ability. It's something that we've seen, and it's his one kind of discernible...
Second best passer on the team?
No, come on. They got Luka down.
I said second.
Second best passer on the team?
Yeah.
You might be able to talk me into that. Brunson has upped his game passing. Like he's had some 8 assists, 9 assists in this games. And so I'll put Josh Green very comfortably third on the team.
There you go. Now we've been talking about over this stretch here where all the hardship guys have been playing, and when KP missed a few games there and stuff, that's like, man, all right, if we're gonna miss all these guys, I really wish Josh Green could have been in there to play
Right.
with these young guys, and we got a little bit of that experience tonight. I think you tweeted about it, and because we were wondering the other day, it's like, well, what role is he gonna have? Like, is he gonna step in and like play right away? Is he gonna start? Is he gonna be? And he played pretty early on.
My big question is like Theo Pinson gonna play over Josh Green, right? Is Jason Kidd gonna sub in Theo Pinson in the first quarter and then Josh Green coming later, or is like Sterling Brown gonna sub in after before Josh Green or something like that? That was my question. Is what was it gonna look like? What was the rotation gonna look like specifically for Josh Green? And Josh Green got early first quarter minutes. He was one of the first guys off the bench for the Mavericks, and so that was a good sign for me that they hope they are trying to develop Josh Green, and that they do think that he can be a viable NBA player over some of these other guys. Are they playing him some extra minutes for trade bait? Maybe. You buying that? But in this game, he showed us that passing ability is real. Like there were some passes where he drives and a player jumps at him, he jumps, and he does a lot of jump passes, which you can get away with a little bit in this game. But that wraparound pass to Porzingis was incredible. His kickouts, like just the way that he can be on one side of the court and throw the ball to the complete other side of the court to find the open guy, and just finding the best player with the best spot and in the best position to score is a skill. I think him, and I think also Frank showed that a little bit in this game too. But Josh Green specifically showed that is his one discernible like NBA skill that stands out.
Yeah, well, I mean, his athleticism, too. It's just it's weird because it's like you're not gonna ISO him out and say, "Hey, go ISO this guy, get to the basket."
Like he's not your point guard.
No, but when he catches the ball, like, and he's moving, like he knows the right pass to make, and he has a really nice touch or a nice feel of the game of like, hey, I know where to pass the ball, where the open guy's going to be. So yeah, I love Josh's minutes tonight. I mean, honestly, this segment could go to a handful of players because we haven't even talked about Brandon.
Hot player.
I mean, I think besides KP, scoring 34, you could, I mean, honestly, give it to Brandon Knight scoring 18 points off the bench. Like, this is a guy who, I think some people thought he was washed after the first game. And
who would say that? Who would come on a podcast and say this guy is washed after seeing him for just 10 minutes?
This stretch of 5 games could determine the entire season. And it could define the entire season. And
what else have I said that's dumb that we can
You had no clue that this COVID thing was going to come back either.
I did not. No, yeah, it did define the season.
But no, I mean, what Brandon Knight, we talked a little bit about him being this vet guy, that Jason Kidd knows. And why is Brandon Knight playing over like a Carly Jones? Because he trusts him. He knows that this guy can run the offense on. But I mean, he took Dame off the dribble one time. I mean, he had a couple threes in this game. I was kind of happy for him.
I was really happy for him. 18 points, 5 assists in this game, just 2 turnovers. Like you said, he hit a couple of threes and controlled the offense. Like it was. I kind of wonder. Okay, is he he's probably a player that if he keeps playing like this and keeps it up like this, the Mavericks should keep him over some of these other guys. He can't be a two-way player, but if Trey Burke comes back, is there going to be a decision between Trey Burke and Brandon Knight? Is that the tough decision that Cuban mentioned the other day?
Yeah, no, I think that's very real. I mean, I because then you got another vet. I wonder what the age difference between Brandon Knight and Trey Burke is.
Well, Brandon Knight's 31. Let me look up Trey Burke.
Trey's not that old.
You can talk during that.
But talk to him. But no.
2 years. Trey Burke is 29, just turned 29.
Okay. Obviously the money part, Trey Burke's deal is the big one.
Yeah.
Just straight out waving it, you'd eat some money with that. But I think Dwight deserves a little bit of praise in this game. How many and ones did he have in the paint to where he just like somebody touched his arm and he just kind of like threw it up like one-handed, like, and as he's coming down and it goes in, I'm like,
well, he took 7 free throws, and I think probably like 4 of those were from and ones. But yeah, Dwight had an insane stat line for a starting center: 22 points in 24 minutes, 3 rebounds, all of them offensive, like 3 offensive rebounds,
probably off his missed shots,
0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 5 fouls, hit a 3. and he was 9 of 11 from the field. Just like a weird stat line for a
Yeah.
starting center, but he was eating them up inside because the backline defense for the Blazers was just, I mean, at times just not even existent at all. There was the last Josh Green assist was to Porzingis, who got behind the defense in transition, and there was no one there. Just no, like everybody lost a 7'3" guy in transition. Like, how is that even possible?
But yeah, I mean, Dwight scoring 22 in this game was big for him.
You're saying that he could have been the
Hot man, the hot player.
I just think there were a handful of guys who could have had that tonight. I mean, Moses is Moses. Like, you know what you're getting with Moses at this point. He's fun out there. You know, he's fun.
last thing I want to talk about this game though is the Boban minutes in the second quarter. I thought were really interesting. I think J Kidd completely overthought what he was doing there. He's like, okay, KP and Dwight are really eating him up inside. They don't have any defense inside at all. And so he's like, let me throw out Boban out there so he'll take advantage of this small team. And it's just, that's the complete opposite team that you want to throw Boban out there against.
Yeah, I didn't. I texted you. I was like, I wonder why Boban's in the game right now.
It was only 2 minutes, but it just stood out as really strange.
But, you know, he hadn't played in a handful of games, you know, in a bit either. So they might have just wanted to keep him in there, get some run with him and, you know, keep him happy with that. And I always want Boban happy. But on the other side, you know, I thought Dame looked a little rusty.
I thought Dame looked really uninterested in this game. It just came out there. It didn't feel his impact a lot in this game.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I mean, Dorian had an amazing block on him going towards the basket that, I mean, he didn't even know Dorian was going to get to that. Love that. Love Dorian. It's a fun game. I mean, you put up 130-something points on anybody. It's a fun one. Now we'll see. I think, you know, they're going to Sacramento. We'll see what happens as far as who can join them, who's going to be back for that. And then we have, I mean, the roster moves coming up. I mean, we know the trade deadline stuff, you know, coming in February. You know, the New Year's coming this weekend. And, you know, we're inching closer to a month away from the deadline, basically. So we're probably, 6 weeks out. I was, you know, when does trade stuff start heating up again? We'll see. We talked briefly about it on yesterday's podcast, but I think before any of the trade rumors start back up, Dallas will have to figure out, well, crap, do we need to waive somebody? Do we need to? I saw somebody, you know, got waived the other. I think it was Elise Johnson for the Bulls. You know, they waived him to sign somebody because
McKinney.
Yeah, because McKinney played so well off the hardship. And I really do think one of these guys, if not two of them, will stick around with the Mavs.
We'll see who that is. We'll have a lot of shows every single day talking Dallas Mavericks. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Go to Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. Free and available on all platforms. Thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!